Hi everyone, today we will be making a Sichuan classic Mapo Tofu. The ingredients are as follows. For tofu, I have medium firm tofu, but you can use any firmness you want. Typically, firmer tofu has better flavor, and softer tofu has better texture. Just don't use super soft tofu, that's for desserts, because it disintegrates very easily. Traditionally, a small cut of lean beef is used and chopped into mince. In this video, I'm going to use half of this pack of ground beef, but in retrospect, I think I should have used a third or maybe even a quarter. Remember, this is a tofu dish, not a meat mince dish. Next, you will need Sichuan bean paste, doubanjiang. Make sure you pick a good brand. You should be able to taste the sourness, saltiness, and beaniness from the fermented beans, paired with some spiciness. Remember, this is not a hot sauce, it's a spicy fermented bean paste. For auxiliary ingredients, I have some garlic, ginger, dried chili peppers, and Sichuan peppercorns. Traditionally, fermented black soybeans, called Douchi, are also used. Douchi is hard to find where I live, so I don't have any in this video. If you can get your hands on Douchi, you can add a small handful or about 1 tablespoon. You don't need too much, otherwise the flavor will overpower the other components. You can also add some regular chili peppers if you like to eat spicy. And finally, Sichuan peppercorns are a must-have component for this dish. The numbing aspect is a key component in the flavor profile. For the sauce, most of the flavor will come from the fermented bean paste. Depending on your bean paste, you can add a touch of sugar to pull back on the salty or sourness of the fermented beans, which includes the douchi, or add a bit of vinegar to add a bit of edge if that's what you need. In my case, I'm just going to add a little bit of soy sauce. Garlic greens and powdered Sichuan peppercorns are typically used to garnish the dish. Garlic greens is hard to find where I live, so I'm using green onions as a substitute. The tofu is prepared by slicing it into bite-sized pieces. You don't want the pieces too big, otherwise it doesn't look nice when you're stuffing your face with it. And you don't want it too small, otherwise it will be difficult to pick up with chopsticks. Next, heat some water and add a little bit of salt. Then blanch the tofu for about 5 minutes. This will help reduce the tofu's beaniness and help it absorb the flavors later on. For the beef, there isn't much prep to be done, unless if you're making the mince by chopping up a piece of beef. Cut the dried peppers into small pieces. You can use fewer dried peppers and remove the seeds if you cannot tolerate spicy food. You can also use chili flakes instead. Here I removed some of the seeds. Dice up garlic and ginger finely, and if you are adding chili peppers, you can also dice those up. First, we're going to make dry pepper flakes. On medium heat, add the dried peppers and peppercorns. Toast both ingredients for about 1 to 2 minutes until crispy. Make sure your heat is not too high or the peppers will burn. Make sure your peppers do not burn. Your kitchen should smell very fragrant right now. When they are ready, remove them and chop with a knife. The crispy dry peppers will add texture to the dish. And the peppercorns will be crushed to the extent that you don't need to actively pick them out when you are eating. To cook the beef, stir fry on high heat, making sure you break any large clumps, and aerate it by constantly stirring to drive off the moisture. Once it is cooked, you can set it aside, and you don't have to clean the wok, but I do so anyways, out of habit, and because the dish will be a little bit greasy. To make the sauce, turn the heat on high and add oil. Add the ginger, garlic, chili peppers, and douchi. Stir everything around so they don't burn. Once fragrant, add the fermented bean paste. Depending on your brand, you may add a bit more or a bit less. But be careful not to add too much, otherwise the fermented bean flavor will overpower everything else. Once the paste has been mixed in and fragrant, stir in the chopped dry peppers and peppercorns. Once incorporated, add some water. At this point, you can season your sauce. I'm going to add a tiny bit of dark soy sauce and light soy sauce. Once the sauce boils, add the ground beef and tofu. Simmer for at least 10 minutes, occasionally pushing the tofu around with the back of the spatula or ladle, just so the bottom doesn't get burned. Once the flavors have developed and you are ready to serve, thicken the sauce with some cornstarch solution. Make sure you use a cornstarch solution instead of just throwing cornstarch directly into the sauce because you will end up with lumps. Serve and garnish with peppercorn powder or garlic greens. This dish goes very well with rice. And now for the summary. The main flavors are spicy and numbing, with subtle hints of sweet and sour. Choose a good bean paste, preferably from the region of Sichuan. Tofu firmness varies between brands. I generally use firmer tofu so it doesn't break apart. Chili flakes can be used instead of dried chili peppers. And check out the resources in the description below. See you next time!